spoke on the first day, but I'm sitting here watching each and every speaker. And this gentleman who I'm about to bring up, this dude has inspired me. Like, I look at his Instagram page weekly, like, what is he talking about now? What is he doing now? What's the next play? One of my good friends, Wall Street Trapper, was interviewed by him. He was like, yo, by far the best interview that I've ever done. So listen to me. I don't know about y'all, right? But it's not too often that we get to interview somebody that sold their company in 2019. I'm not talking about last year. I'm talking about for over $1 billion cash. Somebody in the chat write $1 billion cash, y'all. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? He sold his company for over $1 billion. So I want to know. I'm like, Tom, we need to know a little bit about how are you able to do this. So without further ado, y'all, I want to bring to the stage co-founder of Quest Nutrition, CEO of Impact Theory, an all-around amazing entrepreneur, thought leader, and one of the greatest business minds of this generation, and by far probably in the world. Tom Bilyeu, what's up, my brother? How you feeling today?
I'm feeling good, man. Thanks for having me. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, I can hear you. Amazing, man. How's your day going today?
Yeah, it's going well, man. Very, very well. Thank you.
First, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you. Dan reached out to you, and I just want y'all to really understand this guy's heart. I really want y'all to catch this. He charges a very minimum of 6 figures to come speak. At a very minimum. I don't care if it's virtual. I don't care if it's in person. And he saw what Alicia was doing with AI and just developing people, and his heart for people to see us succeed and see us win. He said, you know what, I'm here. You don't got to worry about the honorarium. I just want to show up for people because I know this is by far the AI revolution, and I want to make sure people are on the right path. So Tom, everybody spam the chat right now, giving this man so much love because he's showing up for y'all and for us. So Tom, thank you for that, brother.
It's my pleasure. You're definitely correct that this moment right now is the most transformational moment in all of human history. So it's a trip that we're all alive for it. And for people that are considering starting a business or trying to scale the business that they already have, there is nothing that you should be paying more attention to than AI. And I find that most people are playing with it. They're treating it like a toy, and they're not really using it to improve their business. And we've had tremendous wins with AI here at Impact Theory. So we've reduced our costs, we've improved dramatically our bottom line. And we're just moving so much faster. So yeah, it's an incredible tool when you're using it in the trenches. So I'm very excited to be here today to talk about it.
I love it. And I want to ask you a question because that was good. We have so many people getting started, right? And our goal, as you said, I don't want you to play with AI. Like, you can play if you want. Like, it's happening so fast. It's a new update every day. Literally, there's a new update every day. Like ChatGPT is on whatever update is on now. Like, they having updates daily. I want to talk to you. If you lost everything, I already seen a post. If I lost my $10 million following on social media, if I lost my business, if I'm getting started in AI, what would be one of the things you would focus on for business owners right now?
Well, the big thing to understand about AI is right now it's not changing the fundamental way that you do your business. It's just making it possible for a smaller group of people to be far more efficient. And so the good news is AI is just eliminating so many of the hurdles that would traditionally make that getting something off the ground so arduous. Even when I think back, so I've been now in entrepreneurship for about 25 years. In the beginning, just filing articles of incorporation was nightmarish. And so everything has just been getting smoother and simpler for years and years and years. But you still always needed a big team. And so there was always this sense of like, well, even if I only need 10 grand, which by the way, that's how much it took us to start Quest, just 10 grand, which is not nothing, but it certainly isn't, some ungodly nest egg. So when you're looking at the cost to start up a business where you have to get a bunch of employees going, that can really be daunting. And so building out a team using AI, so a virtual team of artificial employees, is incredible. And so in the course that I teach, Impact Theory University, I've been showing people how to do that. And we've had a lot of people have a lot of success, but that's exactly what we're doing inside the company right now. So focus on what are the tasks that I need to get done? How do I, instead of treating AI like one big sort of blob brain, how do I section that off via custom GPTs, via a very discrete set of instructions, get each task done well. So if you know your goal is to get your product out into the world, build a really successful funnel, track the things that are working, find the things that aren't working, make the changes, you're going to be able to do that loop with AI, but you have to give it discrete tasks, give it discrete instructions. And instead of just being like, oh, chat, like now tell me how I do this thing. It's like, if you really get specific about what is the role based on the output that I need, how do I train that AI to give me that output? And then recognize that as of today, you can't just give it to AI and it's going to do your business for you. Right now, it's still going to come down to you having good taste. It's going to come down to you recognizing when AI is giving you garbage and knowing how to adjust it, because the initial outputs of AI are almost universally trash. So you can't just one shot and launch and I'm selling my company for $1 billion. It's not going to work like that. But if you're thoughtful, if you know exactly what you're trying to accomplish, if you can separate good from bad, now all of a sudden AI is an accelerant unlike anything I've ever seen.
Wow. Listen to me. So when I think about it, so it's Sam Altman says, and I'm a big believer, but I'm like, I don't know yet. Sam Altman's like, right now, in the coming years, which I believe, you'll be able to build $1 billion business with you and just AI. You sold your business for $1 billion. And I'm talking about, I see more people are selling businesses for $1 billion now, but you did it years and years and years and years and years ago. So let me ask you, what would be one of the, if I'm looking to go build a company of that size now, or what are some things you might have done different to get to that goal faster, since we now have AI in the workplace?
Yeah, faster is probably not the area that I would focus on, because we grew by 57,000% in our first 3 years,
Wow.
which is about as much as you're going to be able to handle. Just the ability to acquire leases on the facilities, because we were in manufacturing. So this wasn't 57,000 in software. This is 57,000 going from 3,000 square feet to 300,000 square feet, going from 3 employees to 3,000 employees. It was wild.
Wow.
So the thing that I would be focusing on now, if I were trying to do this again, is product market fit is where everybody falls down. And if you want to know that you've got something that's going to work, you want to do the analysis using AI to identify what is the product market fit. You've got a cool idea. AI makes everything so easy. Why not just launch every cool thing? That is a catastrophic error. That's what people do if they want to play at being an entrepreneur. If you really want to build a company, you really want to sell something for $1 billion, it's all about solving a real world problem. It is about identifying something that people are screaming to have solved. They are hyper aware that they have this problem, and then you go in and make that go away. AI is freakishly good at understanding where's the world at right now. Read sentiment analysis. What are people clamoring for? What are solutions that people are like kludging together? And when you start identifying that, working with AI to identify a growing industry, a pain point that hasn't been addressed, something that you will actually care about, and breaking it down by, and this isn't sexy, but this is how you actually win. You break it down in a way where you can see it in a spreadsheet. You can see in a spreadsheet, okay, there's real appetite for this product. I can make it for a reasonable price. And you'll do what I call a minimum viable test to prove out that the market is there. Again, using AI to do all of this. You get that minimum viable test. You can get the minimum viable test of a brand new idea to market in like 72 hours with AI. It is wild. So you run that process. You find the thing that when you offer a lead magnet that has what I call straight line relevance to the product you want to build in the future, but you're going to first make it past this test. When you find one that has a disproportionate response, where you're like, whoa, that was easy. I had massive uptake of my lead magnet. My lead magnet addresses the same problem in a very similar fashion. So I'm confident that that lead magnet is real signal that there's actual product market fit here. And then you move forward. And you do that whole process, not by guessing, not by intuition or gut. You get AI to have a conversation with you back and forth about the data that it can find available out in the world. And AI's ability to identify and synthesize global data is unparalleled.
Wow, and it's so funny you say it. Like one thing that I do now, projections. I'm not like a math whiz, but I literally put numbers in ChatGPT based on previous performances and just, give me projections, let me know, do the comparable data, and it's telling me here's what you got to spend on ads before you break even. Here's what you got. So it's like it is literally making me almost a superhuman. It's crazy.
Literally.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure that it's a maybe. When you think about the level of intellect that you now have access to, it really does feel like being a superhero. You are able to magnify your efforts so tremendously. It's unreal. It has, in my business, so we're a content creation company. I don't think many people know, but we have a whole video game development arm of our company. And when I think about, at one point we had 100 people working on that game. We now have 7. And so,
Wow.
and by the way, outputting far faster than when we had the 100, because previously everything had to be done by a human hand. Even just the coordination of 100 people is a nightmare unto itself. And so by being able to reduce the scope, being able to put out assets faster, we can do now with one person in a day what it was taking us, call it probably between 11 and 12 people, roughly 3 months. Now, not 11 or 12 people working full time for 3 months, but handing it off, doing different pieces of it. But it would take us 3 months and that many people having to touch it. We can now do it with one person in a single day. The level of transformative that is just to even that part of my company, let alone all the scripting and the working to create landing pages and lead magnets and all that stuff, it is unreal.
Wow. And it's so funny you say it. So I was sitting down with Alicia a few years ago, and I was very frustrated, Tom. I'm like, man, it's just like my monthly payroll is just, 6 figures a month, like multiple six. I'm like, what? Like, what's going on? So she sat down with me and she said, hey, the first thing you need to do, and I want everybody to put this in the chat, is you have to adopt a principle called AI first. The very first thing that you need to do is make sure everybody who is still working with your business is adopting and implementing AI first, right? So then she sat down and we looked at the tech stack. And she's like, well, you don't need this, you don't need this, you don't need this. There's a faster way to do this. There's a better way to do this. You can do this way. You can do this way. And then, start looking at people who weren't performing and said, hey, half of the people who aren't performing, and again, this is, let me say this, y'all, because I don't want this to be taken the wrong way, because some people are like AI is taking jobs. It is, and it will continue to. But if someone is not performing in your business, you do not keep them. One of the biggest mistakes I made for far too long is keeping people who are not good just because I didn't have anyone else. So we identified the people who are not good, who really didn't belong here, and she essentially told me, here's how you replace them. And when I tell you, we reduced our monthly overhead by at least $100,000 a month, which equated to over $1 million in savings in a year. So now, Tom, one of the first things when I hear all these people like, hire, I'm like, have you had some sort of AI consultant or some AI expert come look? I call them AI integrators. That should be your next hire, so they can go and look through your business and kind of tell you all these different areas that you can be using AI for. So what is
yeah, I mean, I'll jump in on that and say the one thing I would advise people, I still think there's a legacy mentality that you're going to need a consultant. The reality is AI is aware of everything a consultant ever has told anyone. And so treat the AI like the consultant. And now you're saving even more money because, listen, the key with AI is not to be told what to do. The key with AI is to dramatically increase the rate at which you understand the problem from first principles. So once people get like in their minds that the power of being an entrepreneur is the greatest entrepreneurs are the best at solving novel problems, meaning this is not a problem anyone has ever seen before. So once you understand your life is going to be about being able to come to a highly useful answer to a completely unknown problem, you realize the only path forward is to think from first principles. AI is extraordinarily good at helping you think through a problem and getting to the first principles. Now, to make first principles demystified, it is simply thinking from cause and effect. How does the world actually work? Don't get caught up in how things ought to be. Don't get caught up in analogy. Don't get caught up in somebody else's frame of reference or even your own frame of reference. How do things actually work? This is about getting down to the engineering of a problem. And so if you realize you haven't deployed AI well in your company, the first place you should turn to is AI to figure out what does deploying AI well look like in a company. Now, if after that you formulated a sense of what AI is, you understand the problem very well, now you can go work with a consultant because you can't be bamboozled. And so what I always tell entrepreneurs is you don't have to be the greatest at every role in your company, but you absolutely have an obligation to understand it well enough that you can't be fooled. So my background is not video game design, but here I am building a video game. I can't simply say, oh, I'll let the designers deal with that. I'll let the programmers deal with that. No, that's exactly how you end up with 100 people and the clock is ticking on your revenue and, you know, you're just burning capital. Instead, now I'm getting as close to the engineering problem as I can. I'm actually learning how to evaluate the methods by which we're building the game. And a lot of this is from having conversations with AI. Take screenshots and say, I don't understand this part of the interface. What is this? Like, I just heard one of my developers say this. What does that even mean? And you will be shocked at, no matter what your version of that is, how much you can get a high level understanding of what it is so that you can begin to better understand the true limitations, meaning the engineering limitations of the problem. And you can understand when people are sandbagging, when they're outright BSing you, and that kind of thing is extraordinarily powerful. So don't hand over your agency to somebody else. Don't feel like you need a consultant to come and make it all make sense. AI is the ultimate consultant, but you have to remember your job is to come to understand it at the level of cause and effect. You're not becoming an expert. I'm not telling you to go become a programmer. I'm not telling you to go become a CFO, but I am saying you have to understand this stuff well enough that when somebody's feeding you BS or something that's suboptimal, you know.
That's good. I love it. I love it. So let me ask you this. Why is it important? Like right now, we're in a transfer where the idea here is everybody here, the thought is how they can use AI to help their business and then do it for these older businesses that are just not on the AI wave. What are what are your thoughts around that? Just in terms of being able to, who are some businesses you would be targeting that need AI? When I look at so many businesses, I'm like, restaurants, I feel like they're behind. I'm like, yo, when is the last time, y'all let me know in the chat, that a restaurant has texted you? Like, it's just like, and that's simple. That's just marketing. It's just, but these businesses aren't doing almost anything with AI. So the idea is that everyday people like myself can able to go to these businesses and approach them and help them with their AI systems.
Yeah, so this is really interesting, and we're living through a moment where this is really meaningful because you're going to find that there's a certain type of person that is philosophically opposed to the use of AI. And because they are philosophically opposed to the use of AI, they are going to handicap themselves because the buying customer does not care about that. What the buying customer cares about at large, once you average everybody together, all they care about is better, cheaper, and faster. That's it. And so what is the exact thing that AI is designed to help people do? better, faster, and cheaper. So AI is designed to give, regardless of industry, regardless of product type, is designed to give customers the thing they want. So if you're going up against a company, I think about this with video games. Right now in the video gaming world, the what I'll call millennial gamers, who are certainly the most vocal on social media, they absolutely despise AI, just as like a thing. They're in love with the art form of creating video games, and I get it. I felt the same as a filmmaker. I felt the same when Toy Story first came out, but I learned my lesson on Toy Story. It's a one-way street. We're never going backwards. There's always going to be niche that people do, some handcrafted loving stuff, Studio Ghibli, that kind of thing, but ultimately that gets dwarfed by everybody that uses a technology that offers an advantage. And so let me give you a notion that you can take in as you think about disrupting an industry or a company with AI. There's a game theoretic notion that is so true, which is that any technology that promises an advantage will be made. So given that AI promises an advantage, it will be deployed in every company, in every product, because it is exactly how people will give the customer what they want. So if you're trying to evaluate an industry, you want to find an industry where all of the people in that industry hate AI, want nothing to do with it, and then you plan for, call it 3 years from now, where the public is just not going to be able to maintain their hatred of AI, because it's going to be integrated into everything. It's going to make everything cheaper. And so people may hate Amazon, but they still use it because it's better, cheaper, and faster. So yeah, it doesn't matter what industry you're looking at. What matters is, are your competitors deploying AI? And so now you've got equal competition. Or are your competitors avoiding AI for some reason, like they are in my industry, and now you've got a huge advantage?
Wow, listen to me. Listen, y'all. Tom just says something. I want y'all to catch it. Put it in the chat right now. Better, cheaper, faster. One more time. Better, cheaper, faster. I need you guys to catch this. Tom, I'm curious to know right now with social media. I literally remember my social media department being like easily $50,000 a month, like from the videographers to the editors. Like I remember specifically, they used to call them the Hermosi style videos. It's like, the talking heads where they type it. My editor at the time, like, bro, I'm like, how long do it take to do a video? He's like, yo, it takes 2 hours sometimes for me to give you a 1 minute video, because at the time you got to hand type I got to listen to your words, and I'm hand typing them, got to punch them in. And now you could use these different softwares where you go put a link to the video. It'll go spit you out 30 to 50 videos in a matter of 60 seconds. I'm curious to know, how are you using, what you being a content company, how are you now using social media with AI versus what were you doing before? So again, I know a lot of us been doing it the older way before, but I look at your page, you're spitting out so much content that is also not even quality content as well. So what are some tools or some things you guys are doing right now that is, one, I guess, keeping your overhead down with your media team, as well as almost duplicating you? Because I doubt you're the one posting it, creating it all. So give me a little bit of insight on how you're currently doing social media, and maybe how others, because the biggest fear that people have here, not here, but in general, is content creation. They don't want to get on camera. They don't want to produce. So give me a little bit about some of your workflows and strategies around that.
Yeah, so for us, a big part of it is tracking what works and what doesn't, and that one I can't overstate enough. There's an element of business that is not sexy, but is exactly how you separate yourself from everybody else, and that's to understand your data, to understand what story the data is telling you, and then to make sure that the data is driving your decision making. That's critically important. So we track a bunch of variables in a spreadsheet, feed the spreadsheet to the AI. The AI points out, here are the correlations that you guys might be missing. You should try testing something that follows the following paradigm, and then we'll go test it. That has been radically transformative for us. Then we also use things like Opus clips. Just go, because I record so much content. So 3 times a week, I'm recording 2-hour-long sessions where there might be 5 to 7 different clips that we'll want to pull and release. But needing someone to go back through and find all that is pretty rough. So you use AI to identify, here are like 12 candidates, and then a human's going to have to go behind. It's not just, they pull it, cut it, and you're good to go. But a human then goes behind and is like, ooh, actually, yes, they nailed these three. If you shift this one back 4 seconds and cut out this part, it's going to bang. And so you do some of that early legwork that takes so much of the time. Still need the human to finesse. There, right now we have not seen that you can just one shot it out the door. But then we also use services that have embedded AI. So for anybody using Adobe Creative Cloud, you know how much they've started embedding AI into their services. And so things that used to take a lot longer are much easier. Because we're an Unreal Engine company on our game development side, we also understand all of the motion graphic stuff that they're doing. And so that'll start. It's not something we use a lot right now, but it's something that we're going to be using a lot in the future as they continue to make those processes better and just sort of more jaw-droppingly amazing. But yeah, looking at every touch point, what is AI's role in this? And I would say right now, 70% of the things that you do are going to be meaningfully touched by AI in some way. And a big one for me as somebody that is responsible for crafting a lot of YouTube scripting every week, using AI has sped me up massively, massively. And so the ability to create more content every week gives us the ability to drive the whole rest of our business. Because for us, the very top of the funnel is what we do on YouTube. And the very top of that are the things that I script. And so being able to speed up with the scripting there is transformative for our business. And I do that with AI. Again, I'm not one-shotting and then just reading what AI gives me, but you can give it a very sloppy framework. It'll turn it into a neat framework. And then you work with it to give you sort of the 80% text, and then you push it across the finish line. Make sure that you remove all this sort of weird sort of vocal patterns that AI has in terms of like their cadence and script writing and the sentence structures that they'll use, which are just so obviously AI. You strip those out. You make sure your own personality is present. You make sure the argumentation is all yours. But the amount that speeds you up is dramatic.
Wow, that's powerful. Let me ask you, Tom. We're in a world, bro, where there's so much happening, right? It's so much going on. Do this, try this. With technology moving so fast, are you deciding what you should put your attention on and what is just noise, right? Because one of the things I tell people all the time is oftentimes we focus on MWAs. I call them minimum wage activities. We're doing things that actually won't really help us grow, won't advance us. Like, how are you deciding, even at your level, then even as beginners, what should I actually be focusing on in this current time? Because you got a new tool tomorrow, but it might get displaced next week, and then you got another one. So tell me your thoughts on that.
Yeah, in terms of that, you definitely want to revisit the tools on some cadence, maybe monthly, maybe quarterly. You don't need to stay on top of the day to day. In fact, you're going to drive yourself crazy. You're going to waste a lot of time. So the real thing to focus on is what's actually going to move the needle in my business. So one idea that I want to get across to everybody is that, yes, a lot of being an entrepreneur is learning how to tell the story of your business well to the end customer, to make sure that your brand means something to people. All of that's incredibly meaningful, but it's not the real war. The real war that you're fighting is to understand that business is like a computer. It is a bunch of if this, then that statements. A business is entirely a set of things you do that have a consequence in the mind of the person that you want to buy your product, use your product, and you can build a spreadsheet, a financial model. It's a particular kind of financial model, but you want to build yourself a financial model, and you want to look at the model should contain every single thing that you do to get a conversion. And it's going to have all of your assumptions if you're doing it for the first time, and it's going to have all of your actuals if you've done it before. So I post on TikTok. I get this many average views. When I do a call to action, I get this response rate. When I get somebody into my funnel, into my newsletter campaign, for instance, that I get this open rate, and then I get this many people to click on the link in the call to action at the bottom of the newsletter. And then when people land on the page, it has this conversion rate. You've got to know all of that. And then you will suddenly see, oh, my business and business in general, quite frankly, is not some mystical thing. It's me identifying that a person has a problem, creating a solution for that, using social media, which is like 90% of everything you're going to do, using social media to make them aware of it, and then to set the frame for how I want them to think and feel about my brand. But it comes down to, what word do I use? What font do I choose? Where do I put the call to action? What's the hook? Like, it's all things you can do. These are knowable things. And once you get yourself out of, like, there's some sort of mystical juju, and get yourself out of this idea of I steer by gut instinct, forget all of that. You want to figure out exactly, when I do this thing, I get this outcome, and therefore, if I want to affect my top line revenue, if I want to affect my bottom line profitability, then I know what cell or cells in my spreadsheet I need to impact. And then you use something I call the physics of progress to go, I want to affect this exact cell in the spreadsheet. Let's say it's the open rate for your email. And the reason you're focusing on the open rate for your email is when you look at your spreadsheet, you realize that one is subpar compared to everything else. And if you got it up, let's say that you've got a 15% open rate and you want to get a 75% open rate. Maybe that's a little high, but let's just say that's what you're aiming for. And then you look at the output of your system. If I only change that number from a 15% open rate to a 75% open rate, and all other things stay the same, I will have increased my top line revenue by this, my profitability by this. And now it's like, there's no mystery. So then the physics of progress is basically the scientific method recontextualized for business. And you just go, what would I need to do to maximally impact that? So the question was about prioritizing. I prioritize because I'm looking at that spreadsheet and I know, well, if I impact, that variable, it's already way above industry standard. It's probably going to be very hard to get that even higher. But I've got this one over here that is both far more likely to be easy to impact, and I just model out the impact that it's going to have. And if it's moving me meaningfully towards my goals, then I'm going to do it. And so the ability to prioritize is about knowing what you're trying to achieve very specifically, very specifically. Yeah. I am trying to achieve this, and then having a guess as to which of those cells in that spreadsheet you need to impact in order to get there. And then you run something called ICE, impact, confidence, and ease. How impactful will it be if you pull it off? How confident are you that you can do it and that it will have that impact? And how easy will it be to do? The thing with the highest ICE score gets done first. And then you just make your business that straightforward.
Wow. Man, it makes sense why you're one of the top thought leaders in the world. I see exactly why, because you're very serious about data. I want to ask you this. One of my biggest questions now, Tom, that I ask entrepreneurs like yourself is, what are some roadblocks that we should look out for, right? Everybody here, for the most part, most businesses are probably getting started, or they're between that 0 to 6 figures, some 6 to 7, and then you have some beyond that. But what are some roadblocks that we should look out for in this AI age, right? I know one of them is, I love what you said, and I really don't want anybody to miss it. I felt like it was so powerful. It's no longer, you can't just be autopilot, because that's how you get to 100 employees, not paying attention, not looking at what you're doing. But I know having the right team around you also matters. But is there other things that, because I didn't have the right team around me for a long time, and not having it, it has hurt me. So let me give you one thing that I do now is, every person that we're hiring, we're doing a DISC assessment, right? We're doing a predictive index test. We're like, you can tell me you're organized. The test is going to tell me if you're organized. So I don't even want to try this. You're going to be my assistant, and it shows you telling me you're organized, but your assessment says you're not. So I am now, more importantly, listening to the data more than anything. But what are some other things? I know hiring is one. What are some other things we should be looking out for as people are looking to grow their first 6 or their 7-figure or 8-figure business?
Yeah, AI changed the world. It changed the way that you structure companies, and I don't think most people understand that. You guys need to immediately let go of the old idea of middle management and scaling your company by adding people and structure to your organization. It is now about hiring amazing people. I'm not even worried about getting rid of people. That's not my goal. My goal, though, is to recognize that AI makes it possible to hire, instead of middle management, instead of administrators, to hire people to actually do a thing very well. And so I now structure entirely around teams of doers. So somebody who has a KPI, key performance indicator, that they know what it is, they know how to impact that number, and that's their job. Go do that thing. So my director of social media, his job is not to manage some gigantic team. His goal is to drive leads. And so it's like, cool, you know what your life is. Now, if you need to bring somebody on to do a thing that's going to help you drive those leads, great. But I'm not hiring you as somebody that's going to be hands off, that wants to, I want to mentor Tom and, helping like grow people in the company. No, no, no. Those days are over. We're lean and mean now, baby. This is all about who knows how to do a thing. And what I have found is it's way easier to hire somebody under somebody when they look at that person with reverence and are like, holy hell, you're actually really good at this thing. And so I'm learning from you by watching you do it. So for me, AI has made it such that the world of managers is over. This is now about the world of doers.
Wow.
And so being able to find a doer means you have to completely change your interview style. And so it's a method I call the TATA method. It's tactical talent acquisition and tactical assignments. And what I'm trying to do there is in an interview, I don't want to hear stories about how you did a thing that was on a team. I want to know what levers you know how to pull. I want to know why you pulled them in a certain situation. I want to know where that lever is inside of the interface so that I know you actually know how to do this. Because interviewing is all about people that are verbal. I could, because I'm highly verbal, I could trick you into thinking I know how to do something that I don't actually know how to do. I'm just going to feed your own words back to you. I'm going to say it in a way that's flattering to you, yada, yada. It's very easy. And this is how people get through interviews. So instead, what we do at Impact Theory is we're just trying to be taught by you live in the interview how to actually do your job. And you will very quickly come to understand what they know how to do and what they don't. And if you understand that role, then now you can really go deep and you'll be able to find the people that aren't managers, they're doers. And so I'll give you a quick speed run. I don't know how much time we have left, but a quick speed run of how this works in an interview with me. So YouTube is one of the primary things that we do at Impact Theory. Cool. So if you're sitting across from me and you want to be on our YouTube team, then my opening question is almost always the same. Tell me what you've been doing in the last 3 years that applies directly to this role. Now, I'm not looking for a recap. I'm looking for a way in. They're going to make a claim as they begin to tell me what they did. And then I'm going to grab that claim and then we're going to go down and I'm going to figure out what they actually did. And when I say actually did, I mean, they're going to say, yeah, I had a mission. My goal was to drive viewership, double it, triple it, whatever. Cool, fantastic. All right, what did you do to double or triple in that time period? And I will say the words, I understand YouTube very well. You can take me deeply into the weeds. By the way, I'll say that even if it's something I don't know very well, because I want them talking at that level. So YouTube is something I understand very well. I want you to take me deeply into the weeds. And now I want to understand the choices that you made and the outcomes that you got. Now, if they hem and haw, let me think back. Okay, well, let me just see. Then I know they didn't do it. Like, if you were able to triple, dude, that is so hard to do that you've now just detected somebody that was a part of a team. And what they're trying to remember is like, what did Sally do? What did Timmy do? No, no, no. If you were the one that did it, you're going to be like, okay, first, my strategy, I did an analysis of the channel. What I realized we were doing, we were totally blind to the fact that we were a part of a pod. And so we weren't looking in the YouTube backend to see what our viewers were also watching. And so we were treating our viewers like they were a human living inside of a bubble, not a human that's inside of a content ecosystem. And so I just said, let's figure out what's going on in our ecosystem, what's likely to pop, figure out how we migrate away from only browse, get into suggested, right? And it doesn't even matter if I agree with them. What matters is that, I'm able to follow the internal logic. Remember, my whole thing about business, you're trying to learn cause and effect. So if in that interview, that person cannot explain cause and effect, I know they don't know what they're talking about. So I'm going to keep pushing them until I understand. So even if this is a programmer and they understand something I don't, I'm just trying to map cause and effect. So I'm trying to find the internal logic. I do not need to be a master of that thing to identify whether they know the internal logic. Now, this gets a little advanced classy, but remember, every time somebody puts forward a hypothesis, that hypothesis makes a prediction. So even if you don't know about it, you can find the prediction that it makes. And then you just go, wait a second, the thing that you just said predicts this. Is that true? And then if they say yes, you're like, awesome. Where do you find that in the interface? I'd love to learn more about that thing. When you can get to that point, I know I just covered a lot very rapidly, but if you can get to that point, like if people could master that method of interviewing, you will be shocked at your ability to find people that actually know how to do the job.
Man, listen to me, Tom. I don't know if you know what you know. I mean, what I've learned, when you've done something so well so long that probably sounds simple, listen to me, pay attention, y'all. What he just gave you was a gem. I don't know the statistics, but hiring a wrong person in your business loses you months of time. What he just said is, you know how many mistakes I've hired somebody, yeah, I'll do this, or they talk about how they did it for another company and they're basing on someone else's brand and they come in your brand. I'm like, what happened to all this stuff that you said you were doing, right? So that was a gem. Tom, what I want to do, team, I want someone else to be able to get some of this wisdom. I want to bring somebody up from Platinum. I want y'all to be able to ask this brother a question, because what he just gave, I want to reiterate it. Gem. Gem. So I want to go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and bring that up, please. Let's get ready to queue up somebody from Platinum who got a question. Wave at me if you got a question. Y'all want to ask Tom a question so we could go ahead and bring somebody up. And when you come up, very simply, my question is, because we want to be able to get several more with the little bit of time we have left. Tom, this interview has been very impactful. Thank you, really, just for your time and just what you're doing. It is fire. And I want everybody, we're going to drop his Instagram. Everybody, we're going to blow up your Instagram, Tom. I want everybody right now to go follow and go say thank you on his last post. I want everybody, and once you do it, go ahead and write done. You comment the word done. I want everybody to follow and say thank you for coming to the AI Business Summit, just because we could show him some gratitude. So, team, do we have somebody ready to come up for a question for Tom? Let's see what we got here. All right. I see a Nicole up there. I see a Mika up there. I see some amazing faces. I see a Coach Fard. I want to say I see some amazing people ready to come on up. We're going to get it. And remember, when you come up, follow directions. My question is, just so we can all right, my brother, what's going on, brother? My question is,
Hello?
yep, you here, you live, brother.
Yes, sir.
You live.
Okay, I didn't know I would.
You live.